Hey everybody, I don't normally do this, especially on my personal page. It's usually when it's related to real estate, it's actually on my business page. However, one of the things I do want to share and also address right now, which is very prominent in the media and everything else, is this lawsuit that is happening with NAR. And I'm going to tell you right now, first of all, I am very excited about it because I think that it's going to raise the standard of the realtors that are actually staying in business. I want to explain a couple things about that. And then I also want to give you a few different suggestions and solutions, and also explain one of the reasons why I'm actually happy that this lawsuit is happening. Not that I like the idea of entering into a lawsuit. I don't believe in anything having to do with something like that, especially when the attorneys are potentially using it for gain. And so I want to caution you on that one as well too. But part of the reason this is going live, and part of the reason this is going to you, the community that actually have a relationship with me, as well as my business relationship with the people that I serve in real estate, is because I believe it's important to get the facts. One of the things that I really love whenever I meet with a seller and even a buyer is the question about commission. This is what this whole lawsuit is all about. There is a seller side that's happening right now as far as the NAR settlement is concerned, and there's also a buyer side that's in the works right now as well. So I think that it's very important to cover what the lawsuit basis foundation is and what you can do about it. Also, I want to give you some equipment to actually give to your friends and family and anybody out there, because that is the buzz. And I love educating. Any of you that know me know that I love to inform and educate. So I'm going to take this time. Hopefully you'll stick around. We will take the questions and comments. Again, we're live, so please feel free that if you do have a question or a comment, we want to address that as well. So first of all, what I want to do is I want to cover the main topic, which is that real estate commissions have always been negotiable. A lot of people were under the understanding, it's like, even when I go out on listing appointments, they say, well, it's 6%, right? Well, the truth of the matter is no, there is no set commission. There never was. I've been doing real estate since 1989. I have never once ever set a commission. As a matter of fact, I actually, whenever I go out on a listing appointment, I actually have what's called a menu of services. This is a blueprint so that when I meet with an owner of somebody that's going to sell the property, I talk to him about the different levels of service, the different types of marketing, the different types of advertising. I let them select what they feel is necessary for us to get top dollar for their home. I also will oftentimes tell people you don't necessarily need my top package, and talk them into something that's going to more reflect their needs for them. Okay, so that is how whenever I go out on a listing appointment, it's never, oh, you're going to pay 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, and I've even gotten 10. But that is with people's understanding and knowledge of exactly what they're going to be receiving for that service. The other thing that I find very, very interesting is that whenever we talk about the commission and we say 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, or whatever, oftentimes most people don't explain that that is split between the person who represents the lister, and the person who brings the buyer, the buyer's agent. They often assume that that's what they're paying directly to me for what I do. That is something that I clearly covered in the listing agreement. Of whatever commission payment you make, clearly there is a portion of it that is going to the company. So for me, it would be OIC. That amount is coming to the company. And of that amount, I clearly give a specific amount to whoever brings the buyer. I cover in detail with the sellers what that amount will be, why they will be paying that amount, and what that actually entails. So that's part of this whole thing, is that a lot of people don't explain to their sellers that the commission is not fully going 100% to one agent. So that brings up a couple different things that have been questions that I've also encountered, okay? The first question is that oftentimes I hear people say, well, what if I represent both the buyer and seller? Will I reduce the marketing fee? I call it a marketing fee because I use the money for marketing. Other people call it commission. And the answer to that is, it depends. And I always explain in detail what that looks like. And I'll explain a little bit more in another video on that one, because we can go down that bunny trail. And you know me, I'm easy to go on a bunny trail. But the key thing about this is that what they're now doing is they're drawing attention to what is being charged to the seller for the sale of the home, and how that is actually going to be dispersed to both the agent that is representing the seller and the agent that is representing the buyer. This is one of the reasons I'm thrilled over this lawsuit, is because I cannot begin to tell you how many times I will be working with people and they have no clue. And by not having a clue, honestly, they can end up losing quite a bit of money because of the fact, and actually spending quite a bit of money when they didn't necessarily have to. The backdrop on this, or the premise that they're trying to develop it on, is they're saying, okay, if you actually spend, say, 3% or 6%, then what's happening is you could potentially reduce the price on your home by just paying for the marketing fee or the commission side for the listing agent. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, that could be the case. However, there's a couple disturbing statements that I've heard recently that I want to make certain that you understand. The first statement I heard just blew me away, because I had an agent that was actually practicing. They said they're still going to charge 5%, but they're going to keep it all. Okay, is that really serving you? I'm sorry, no. The other thing too is that I also firmly believe that having an agent represent the buyer is very important. I got sucked into a timeshare one time, and the thing is that the next time I got sucked in, thankfully I got out, and a lot of people don't. The next time I went up to a timeshare presentation, I had my girlfriend with me, and I said, listen, no matter what, I am not going to buy this timeshare. You do not let me do the buying of this timeshare. I almost got sucked in, but because I had her and we'd already discussed it, I didn't. Having an advocate for you, for your information and for your purposes as a buyer's agent is key. So they're changing how this is going to work. And I think it's wonderful, because it's going to make certain that the seller is going to have the option of offering out a compensation in the form of a commission. They're going to understand exactly what that amount is going to be, and they're actually going to be doing it voluntarily. I hope that you're going to be one of those people that will do it voluntarily and help get the word out. The reason I say that is because I will also never forget, there was a time where I was working with the listing, and I had an agent come through on my broker caravan, and she told me, she says, are you paying out 3%? And I said, no, I'm paying 2.5%. She says, well, then I'll never show your house. Is that really serving the clients well? The answer to that, no. That doesn't benefit anybody whatsoever. So I want to make certain that you see both sides of it. We'll talk about the buyers later, but this is more about the listings. And I want to have you also recognize that some of this stuff may be a little, it's always been in place. It's not really been covered or talked about or identified real well. Yeah, thanks for the comments. We'll get to the questions in a little bit, okay? The other thing too is that the National Association of Realtors is an organization for real estate agents, supposedly to help protect the realtors. Well, there's going to be a lot of fallout on this in the future. They have settled the lawsuit tentatively, and there's going to be additional things that are coming out about that. But understand that one of the other reasons I fully believe in representation for both the buyer and the seller is, I just say, if you have some form of a car accident or something like that, would you want an attorney that represents both you, the victim, and them, the person that caused the accident, to be represented by both parties? I don't believe that's really the case that serves anybody very well. As a matter of fact, most of the time when I'm working with a seller, there's oftentimes buyers that will come to me and say, hey, will you help me as well? And if you do, will you reduce the commission? My answer to them is that if we do work together, then if I do reduce the commission, it's going to go to the seller. It's not going to necessarily go to you, the buyer. So that's another reason to be an advocate of having somebody that potentially works for you individually as a seller and them individually as a buyer. But in fairness, oftentimes, because of the fact that most of these people don't necessarily understand how a person is paid on the buyer side, and most people are taking, especially with the interest rates being as much as they are, they're taking their monies, and what they're doing is that they're using everything they possibly can to try and get into that new home. It doesn't really help you if you don't offer a buyer's agent compensation, because what ends up happening is that fewer and fewer buyers can truly, honestly afford to even make an offer on your house. Now, this is just the beginning of all this stuff, so just understand they're still trying to muddle through it. And I'm not going to cover all the questions that everybody's at. Hey, Matthew, nice to see you. But anyway, what it is going to do is it's going to make certain that it's talked about. there's going to be a very strong, good discussion between the listing agent and the seller about how much they're going to be charging, what specifically they're going to be doing for that charge, and then how much the buyer agent is going to be compensated. The other thing that I found interesting is that I've had last year just 3 different instances where having this buyer broker agreement is so helpful, and I'll tell you why. I had one property where we did an open house, the buyer came through it, and then they reached out to somebody that was not even in the local area. They knew nothing about the area where the home was at. They knew nothing about what prices should be for that property. They knew nothing about how to actually guide their buyer. But guess what? They wrote the contract. They lived far away. They lived over 300 miles away from where that home was. They never showed the property. They did write the contract. And yes, they did come down when it came time for the home inspection. But can you truly believe that that buyer received really good reference and direction? I didn't. As a matter of fact, I even called NAR and asked them, I says, is this really something I should allow happening? Because truly the buyer isn't necessarily being represented very well. And they told me, yes, I was supposed to at that point in time. With the new rules, that may not necessarily be the case. We're still muddling through it, but at the same time, that way that buyer actually will have the ability to have somebody that at least has seen the property with them to make certain that they actually are giving good, smart, wise decisions in helping guide them in their purchase. That was that situation. The other thing that happened is that I had a property that was listed and we ended up doing multiple open houses. The interesting part about that is that during that time, I had 3 different buyers that came through my open houses. This is all part of our marketing strategy, by the way. So I had 3 different buyers that came through this one property. All 3 buyers, after I made certain to show them the features and benefits of the home, reached out to an agent that they had and wrote a contract on that property. As it turned out, one of those contracts was actually accepted and that buyer did get the home. The agent that represented them on that never had seen that house. So again, I am excited about this lawsuit. I'm excited about what it's going to do. It's going to encourage talk. It's going to help people get the representation that they deserve. And it's going to make certain that people are truly being dealt with fair and honestly. I really believe that with all of my heart. Anybody that's ever worked with me, we explain it very thoroughly. We've actually created another document that's part of our listing presentation that fully explains how the commissions are charged. Then you have the choice of what you're going to actually be paying for in the process of the marketing of the property. And they'll also be receiving a direction on what, if anything, they're going to offer to a buyer's agent. I'm going to still encourage my sellers to do that. I believe that it ends up giving them absolutely the highest dollar value with the most opportunity for the most buyers. So I thank you. Any questions? Did we have any questions that came up? No? I guess I did a really good job of explaining that. I just, is there anything else that you can think of that I might be in a position that you might have any questions on? Well, I thank you for watching. We will be talking about this more. Again, follow me on my YouTube channel called Krista 1, and we are going to be addressing this in more detail as we go forward. As always, have an amazingly blessed day. We're here as your resource. If you know anybody that's looking to buy or sell, I'm going to tell you right now, they will be represented. We will market and get the highest top dollar value that is there, and they will absolutely know what they're paying for and what they might be offering to the buyer's agent. Or if you're a buyer, how we can offer to overcome this for you and make certain that you are represented well. Have an amazingly blessed day. Bye.